All right, well, we're recording, and so I'm going to go through this process that I got from the video that I posted on Moodle, MetaHuman Animator using video in Unreal Engine 5.6. And I showed a little bit of it here. I do recommend it because the there may be some things in there that he talks a little bit more about than I'm going to talk about, but the main thing is that you're going to need a um, a video that you shoot, and we don't, as far as I can tell, it does not use the front right left view or anything like that. So we don't. I actually did that for mine. It's in my video, and I didn't have to do that. So make sure that you get your video off your phone, and you're going to want to put it inside a folder that you'll be able to find. I think probably somewhere close to where your Unreal Engine folder is. Mine are in a folder here called Topher Geek Video, and I did a couple of ones. One of them I already processed, which I have in Unreal Engine already. And I'm going to do this second one here so that I have a video too, which if I look at it is pretty short. I go through this sort of front, side, and side to side and teeth, and then I'm trying to think. I'm falling from the sky, looking around.
Get your geek on
I zoom out of a portal
in Raleigh.
and say in Raleigh and smile. And I'm clearly smiling there. I'm trying to look happy and amazed. So hopefully that's gonna come through on the MetaHuman, but we'll see. That's my video. I think this one's about it's a minute. Most of that I'm not going to use, so about only 30 seconds am I going to use of that. So inside of Unreal Engine, I have my MetaHuman here. I think I'm going to put this on the other MetaHuman. So I used this one, which was my original one in the tech outfit. I can go ahead and I could put it on this one, but I could put it on the other. Well, we can do both. I can put it on this one, then I'll put it on the other one too. So I have a sequence open here. That's where we're going to be doing our animation is in a sequencer. And so that's something that you're going to, why does it keep doing that? Going to want to create, and we'll see how to do that as well. I'm going to close this for now though. So what I'm trying to do here, I don't know what happened to but usually I like to have my sequencer docked next to my content browser down here like that. So I don't know why it was coming up in its own little window, and so I pulled it out and I brought the content browser back up, and dragged it on there. I like to do it like this so that I can switch back and forth between my sequencer and my content browser. I'm going to go ahead and close the sequencer for right now because we're not going to use this sequencer. And when I do, what should happen is that the MetaHuman should actually it didn't. Let me open it back up again. So when you're going to start this animation process, you're going to want to create some new folders in your content area. I've got a few here. I made a My Sequences folder. That's where I'm saving my sequencers to. Oh, okay. That's the behavior that I was expecting. And it wasn't doing it. So when you close a sequencer, it's supposed to take away the animation that was in that sequencer. And my MetaHuman character should go back to its default pose with a no animation on the face. And it wasn't doing that. And that could have been just sometimes Unreal Engine does glitchy stuff. And so by opening it back up and setting it back to 0, I think it just reset it. So this is what I wanted, was just a plain basic MetaHuman standing there. I do have my main cam on here, so I've created a camera. We're going to have to look at how to do that as well. But before we do that, let's go ahead and we'll bring in go through that process of the new MetaHuman for just a video. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is go to your edit plugins, and you can see I have my plugins docked here. Doesn't matter. Type in Meta H to get the MetaHuman stuff to come up, and make sure that you turn it all on. And when you turn it all on, it's going to ask you to restart, and go ahead and restart. So that's the first step, getting all the MetaHuman plugins turned on. Now, after you do that and it restarts, you can start this process. And the way you're going to bring in the video, you're not going to drag it in here or anything. There's something in the tools menu after all the MetaHuman stuff is turned on. When you go to the tools menu, there should be something called an ingest server. It's under virtual production. Ingest server. And go ahead and choose that. And it's going to open it up. Or actually, I'm sorry. It's not going to open it up. It's just going to turn it on. So when you choose it, it turns it on. I saw something happen down here, and it should be on now. And then we're going to go back to tools again. And the other thing that's in there is going to be your Live Link Hub. And it just said launched Live Link Hub.
But you did ingest server first.
I did ingest server first. and I saw it turn on. Okay, so this Live Link Hub, I'll go ahead and dock it. If it actually it won't dock. Yeah, okay, that's fine. I'll just leave it where it is. So this Live Link Hub is new, and we want to use it to bring in our live data. And so there's going to be a live data button with a drop down arrow, and you're going to want to click on it, and you're going to go to the capture manager. And the capture manager is what you're going to use to bring in the video. And we're going to add device. And we want to do mono video ingest. So this is sort of a new manager that was never, it's new with 5.6. And I think it's actually going to makes it a lot easier to bring in different types of footage. Mono video is just regular video, stuff that you shoot with your cell phone. You can see it does have a live link face here, and some other things. Let's go ahead and choose mono video. And then click on it and go to the bottom here. And this is where you're going to tell it where it is. So the directory that your video is at. So if I go back over to my directory, I've got these couple of different files. I do think it's better to maybe if you have multiple videos that you want to bring in at once, then you can have them in there. But like this is not even a video file here. This is an audio file. I think it would be better for me to probably separate this out and make another new folder here. And I'll just call it Topher Geek 2 and bring this second one into here so that I'm going to have it just that video in there. And then I'm going to just come up to here at the top and I'm going to click on the pathway and Control C copy it. So I'm copying the pathway to where that video is. And then I'll go back into Unreal Engine to my Live Link Hub, and I want to give it a name. We'll call this Topher Geek Video underscore 002. When you're choosing things later on, you will want to have a name on your video. You don't want just like image one or something like that, or some very generic thing that you might have more than one of on your system. And then down here, take directory, I'm just gonna paste in the pathway to the video that I want. And it doesn't say there's anything there because it's just selecting the folder, but it should find the video if there's a video there. And you can see it did find the video. And then I want to add that to queue. Select it, add it to queue. And you're going to see that it comes up in the jobs list on the right. And the jobs list, I'm going to click on that job. And it will give me some details at the bottom that I probably want to set. Because you'll notice my video is not straight up, it's to the side. So I'm going to want to rotate that 90 degrees. So there's something for image rotation here. And I'll go ahead and rotate that clockwise 90 degrees. There's some other settings that in the video Solomon recommended. So I'm using them. PNG instead of JPEG for the image format, just because PNGs are a little higher quality than JPEG. And frame, I'm going to leave frame. But this one down here, he said someone on one of the community boards recommended that he respected using mono instead of RGBA. It probably will speed it up. I'm not sure mono is going to be better than RGBA, to be honest. It might. They seem to think so. I think maybe I would try doing, I don't know. You could try either one. It still took a little while for it to process when I did mono. I don't think this other one's going to probably take that much longer. I'm going to try it. Since I already did mono for the other one, you saw it was black and white. I'm going to try color with this one and see if I see any difference. They're not the same clip, but they're similar, very similar clips. So, and it's also going to extract a WAV file for the audio. And that's it. All I got to do now is process it. Which is start right there. Okay. And this is what it did when I did the other one, is that it went really fast up to like 62%, and then it went really slow for a while. And I think it took about maybe 5-6 minutes to process it. While I'm waiting to process it, I think I'm going to go and just pause my recording. Okay, so mine is done. I'm at 100%. Anybody else get through theirs? Okay. So let's try to go to the next step. So if you go out, so I'm going to go ahead and I think I'm done here, that there's not really anything else I need to do in the Live Link Hub. I could just minimize it, I guess, but yeah, I'll just minimize it in case I need to come back in here. So if I look in my content browser, you're going to see that there's a Capture Manager folder there now. And if you open up that, you're going to find imports, and then you're going to find a folder for the take that you just did. I've got 2 in here because it's got the one that I did before, and now it's got this new one. So I'll go ahead and look in that, and what I see is that I have some capture data, image media source, and a sound file. that should be all I need for the next step, which is the performance step. So all the footage has been processed, and now I need to do the performance. So where you do that, you'd probably want to do it in a folder that is like your face animations folder. I made a My Face Anims folder in my content browser. And inside of that, I've got a Topher Geek 1. That's the one that I processed previously. I'm going to right click and create a new folder in here. And I'm going to call it Topher Geek Take 2. I'll go into that folder, and then I'm going to right click and go to the MetaHumans menu. And in the MetaHuman menu, I'm going to open up MetaHuman Performance, or choose MetaHuman Performance. It's going to create a new blueprint file that I'll name for this particular performance. So this is, again, Topher Geek 2, and I'll just put PERF after it for performance. I'm going to do a file save all since I have some things unsaved here. And then I'll double click that blueprint to open up the performance interface. So for this, you're going to see several different areas. On the right, I've got a control rig area. I'm going to pull that down a little bit so that I can see this stuff over here. I'm going to pull this all down as well so that I can see more of these details on the right here. So my video footage is going to come up in this left panel. The MetaHuman will be in the right panel that has like a background on it. And then I'll have the timeline come across the bottom here. I need to first bring in the footage capture data. And that's going to be the stuff that I just processed. So I'm going to click where it says none. Or actually, sorry, before you do that, go to input type and switch it from depth footage to monocular footage. We want it on monocular footage for this. And then we're going to go to where it says footage capture data and click on the arrow, and you should see your take in there. I'm going to choose the second one, which is what I just did, and it comes up. And then I'm going to need to load in my MetaHuman. So on the visualization part, where it says visualization mesh, you're going to want to click to the right of that where it says none and choose one of the face ones, one of the face meshes for your character. I don't know why I have 3 face meshes in here, SKM Topher 2025 face mesh. I think it's because I actually did have 3 metahumans, and they're all using the same base face mesh, I believe. So I just need to choose one of these. I don't think it really matters since they're all the same. And I don't know if you'll have more than one, but you want to look for SKM something face mesh. Choose it. Say yes when it comes up with about the clock. It always does that when it has audio of some kind. And you should see your MetaHuman there. So right now, if I play this, I'll see my video going, but I won't see the MetaHuman doing anything.
On. Get
So you have these video controls on the left here. The one that says has a arrow and a line right after the green line is going to take you to the beginning. That always means to start or to beginning or to front. And you have one to go to the end as well that's similar going the other direction. You want to be on the start frame, which is 0. And then you're going to look over here and make sure your head movement mode is set to transform track. That's going to actually take your head movement from the video. And it's going to put some movement on the body. You can disable that, and if I knew that I wasn't going to use any body motion, I would disable it, but we can disable it later. Since I don't know for sure if I'm going to use it for this, if we're doing a shot that's really close in on the face, sometimes just a little body motion is fine, and you don't need to actually do anything more than that because it's all focused on the face. It'll look weird if you don't have any body motion because you won't be moving except your face. But we may actually want to use different body motion later on. If I put this into the scene where I'm flying down through the sky and hand gliding in and then doing a flip, I'm not going to want to use this head motion at all. I'm going to want to use that. So for now, I'm just going to leave it on to transform track. Everything else should be fine. And I'll go ahead and click the process button in the upper left. You might want to save all before you do that, just in case it crashes, which, I said that other one was the main processing. It is. This should actually go really fast, but you do have to do a little processing here. So it's possible that it could crash on you. And when I said this was fast, it's relatively fast compared to what it used to be. It used to have to go through multiple times and it often did crash. Now it just goes through once. Does it ever come back? You can try, maybe closing the right there and maybe starting. No, that's your start. That might clear out in a minute. It worked? Awesome. Hey, looks like a smile. My chin is so big there. Okay, it's all done. So, um, once it ends up going through once, it all turns green. That means it's finished. And you can go and click to front again to put it back at the beginning. And you can just hit play. And it should play it in real time.
Get your geek on
Yeah.
in Raleigh.
So I'm losing frame rates here, but that's okay. I think it'll be fine once I get out. I am noticing that the mouth is a little open compared to the video again. That was how it was, but it's not as bad this time as it was last time. It seems to be a little bit more closed.
On in Raleigh.
So what I need to do here is if if I like the way this looks, and I don't need to like process it again or something, then it's really just a matter of exporting as animation. Now there are some controls in here. If you look down here, it's actually got the keyframes. So there's a face control board here that you can't really see. If I move this up a little bit, you can see it. And if I right click and drag and zoom out, you can see the actual face board for this MetaHuman. This is the face board. If I move this around, you can see the parts of the face controls moving. When I open my mouth really wide, you can see a lot of them moving around the mouth.
On
And this is what you actually animate to fix or enhance whatever you got from your motion capture. So when you see these things moving around in here, they're moving around from these motion capture keyframes that are down at the bottom. And if you were to open up this face control board area of the timeline, you would see that these are all of those controls. And the reason they look like they're almost full color is because there's keyframes on every single frame because it's motion capture and it sets a key on every frame. It's not the way you really keyframe if you're doing it by hand. Usually you want interpolation between the keys. This doesn't have any interpolation between the keys. There's a key on every frame. And then the second channel here, the second track is a transform track for the head, the head to move around. So that's the head motion. There's two things on here, the face control board and the head transform. So you could add additive keyframes here in order to try and adjust something using the picture that you have right here, or the video. For instance, like closing the mouth a little bit. I could actually set a keyframe for that, but you can't really do it effectively on this track. So the track that has a key on every single frame, which is the motion capture track, you don't really want to have to mess with that ever because it has so many keys, it's very difficult to edit because you'd have to edit every single frame. So ideally, you want to leave that alone and you want to set keys on a track that's on top of it that will add to it. And that's a way that you can fix things like the mouth opening too far or not far enough, or the smile line not going far up enough, or the eyes not looking happy enough. So that's what I would want to do. And I don't know if in here is like the most effective place to do it, because that's not where I've done it in the past. I usually do it out in the 3D view, and I'm not even sure we used to have all of this in here. But it does look like at this point that there are keyframes, like there are keyframe controls in here now. And there is a way to make an additive track. So if I wanted to try that, I might want to, just for the heck of it, save out an animation that's just what was processed, so that I have that. And if I mess anything up, then I'm not going to mess up what I already took the time to process. So to export this, what you do is you're going to click on export, make sure it's back on 0 at the beginning, and then export animation. And you're going to choose a folder. And I have a My Face Anims folder that I'll put it in. I have my folders for my different takes in there, but I'm just saving these at the very top level of this folder. So this was my first one that I exported, and I'm going to export out the second one now. So it says AS animation sequence is what AS stands for. Topher Geek to performance. And I'm fine with that name. I like it. And I'll go ahead and hit save. And then it's going to bring up something to ask you whether you want to use head movement or not. For this one, I'll go ahead and leave the head movement there. And the rest of it, just check and make sure it says face archetype skeleton under the target skeleton. That's what it should be. There's a bunch of different things that it could be in here. You always want the face archetype skeleton. That will work on any MetaHuman. And then just hit create. And it's going to save out the animation. And then if I want to save out one without head movement, because I think I might need that later on, I can export animation again. I'll give it a slightly different name. I'll put underscore no head at the end of it and hit save again. And just uncheck the enable head movement button and hit create. So now I have two. I have one with head motion, one without head motion, and that's my original process video. Now, if I want to go in here and try to say maybe like right here, I can see that there shouldn't be a gap between my teeth here. Like there's no gap. So if I want to change that, what I could do is I could go down to my face control board, hit the plus symbol next to it, and choose additive. That's going to create an additive channel. Now I'm going to undo that. I'm going to do Control Z and undo that for a second, because I don't want to do it on this frame. I want to do it from the beginning. So I'm just going to undo that and then go back to the beginning here and then do it again. And then I can see that it made an empty channel. This is an additive channel. If you hover it over it, it actually says additive. It goes across the entire animation. And I oftentimes will click it a couple times so I can add the word add at the end of that, just so I know which one is the additive channel, which one is the mocap channel. And then if I go forward in the animation to where the mouth is like this, I'm basically doing a teeth pose there. If I open up the controls on the left here and look through them, I'm going to find a jaw control. You can also do a search for jaw, but it's not very far down actually. And if I open it up, there's an X and Y channel. And if I move the Y channel a little bit with this virtual slider, I can open and close the mouth. And I'm going to close the mouth a little bit so that it looks closer to what my video looks like. Actually, the teeth look a little, now when I move that, look over here, there's a keyframe. I didn't actually have to set the key, it automatically set it. So if I slide this now, you're going to see that when he does that, the teeth are not, don't have a gap anymore. When you page through these keyframes down here, there's a thing for jumping to keyframe. It's got a little dot and an arrow. You want to use that once you start setting keys, because if I want to reset that key, or if I want to set another key, I want to make sure I'm right on the key, because you can be slightly off it and it'll cause a glitch if you keyframe two things right next to each other instead of replacing on top of each other. So one thing that I'm noticing here is that maybe the upper teeth actually are too low. Like maybe they actually need to go up a little bit, because they look a little bit like I can see my gums here. I can't see my gums here. So I could look through here to find teeth rather than mouth. There's going to be a section for, or there's a section on mouth, which I might want to actually do some things in too. But there's a whole section on teeth in here somewhere. Now, if I can't find it, I could just type in teeth. And so here's the teeth controls. And I don't know which one I want. I assume one of these is the upper and probably the lower. This one might be lower because this one has a U. I'm thinking that might be the upper teeth, so I'm going to go ahead and try to move that a little bit. And it is. I'm just going to move those upper teeth up just slightly. I'm not going to try to move it until I can't see my gums, because honestly, I think these teeth are not the same as my teeth, and maybe these teeth are a little shorter than my teeth. And so I'm not going to worry about trying to do that, because I don't think they're quite accurate. The lower teeth, I think I just need to close the jaw a little bit more now, because they look like they're in the right place. Other things, if I wanted to do on this particular one, is maybe I could adjust the eyes. The thing is, I'm adjusting the teeth in the jaw, and that is going to propagate across the entire animation. And if the jaw is off, then having it propagate across the entire animation is okay, because it's going to be off everywhere. And by adjusting a little bit, I'm probably making it okay everywhere. Same thing with the teeth. But if I adjust, say, an eye right here to be more smiley, like a smiling eye, then I'm going to get smiling eyes across the entire animation, because it's going to be on everything. So what you have to do when you're doing these additive keyframes is you have to set what's called neutral keys throughout the animation that is in their current state. In places that you think it looks okay. So for instance, if I were to go back to the beginning on this, like to the 0 key, if I think that looks like a good neutral face, then I would set a neutral key here. And the way you set a neutral key, I'll take off teeth here in my search so that I get everything. I want to go all the way up. You might even want to close this whole control board. Go all the way up, and you want to set a key at the top level of the additive layer. So I was actually inside of the additive layer down here a second ago, setting keys on individual things. If I want to set a neutral key on the whole face, then I would go up to this top level here, find the keyframe button next to it, make sure I'm on the first key or wherever I want to set this key, and click that keyframe button for the whole additive layer. And it might take a second, but you can see it actually set keys on everything in there at 0 in that its current position. And you might want to go to the end and do the same thing. Like oftentimes the way you do these additive keys is you set one at the beginning and at the end, and then maybe in the middle, and then maybe in the middle of that, and then maybe in the middle of the other side. So that when you start setting little keys to adjust things, it's not propagating across the entire animation and messing other parts up. So that's kind of the idea with neutral keys. So I could go all the way to the end using the to end button here, and I could set another neutral key. Because honestly, I'm probably not even going to use the beginning and end, but it's a good place to sort of default to the mocap. Now you have to make sure you don't get confused and set them on different places. Like there's a control board control rig. There's a couple of tracks that have the same name. One's empty and the other one actually has some keys on it. And then there's this additive layer. And that's where I want to set these neutral keys that I'm setting right now, and not on these other ones. And then I might take the cursor somewhere in the middle, like right there. If that looks good, then I'd set one there too. And that's a whole set of keys. So anything that I do, like make changes in this area, it's going to be localized to this area. It's not going to affect this side at all. And if I want to make it even finer, I'd find somewhere in here that I think is okay, and I'd set a neutral key there too. And then it would be localized to here and here. Right? Do you get the concept of that? Then I can start working on actual face poses and stuff. I probably wouldn't even use this first part because that's just me getting ready to shoot. So I probably wouldn't set any more keys in this area.
Geek.
It's not necessary. The performance is actually on this side. But I wouldn't cut that performance off at this stage because that performance lines up with my audio. And if I were to say cut off that part now, then I'd have to sync up the audio again later when I start working with it. If I leave the whole thing, then all I have to do is bring in the audio at 0 and it will sync up perfectly every time. So I wouldn't change much here at this stage, except to maybe do some obvious fix like I just did. And then I could export this out again by just going back to the beginning and do a export animation again. And this time I'll just, on the name, I'll just put underscore edited. And I'm going to save it with the head motion again. Okay, so I've saved several of these. I'm going to do a file save all. And we can close this for now. And if I look at my face anims, I should see some sequences in here. Okay, so this is actually where those went to this folder here. And if I go out and look at, I could double click these if I wanted to look at these sequences. So this is the edited one that I just did. And it's just going to have the animation. It's not going to have any audio. It's just animation. So it's there. I don't need to look at this really. It's going to look better when I have eyebrows and facial hair and stuff. So now that I have that, I can test it out on my character. So to test this out on your character, you're probably going to want a camera. Now I have a camera in my scene. I'll go ahead and make another one just so that you know how to make a camera in here. You can see that I have a camera that's facing the character and looking straight at him and kind of zoomed into the face area, and it's focused. That's not going to happen automatically. You're going to have to focus your camera. So I'll go ahead and make a new camera. So we'll just right now I'm using main cam. I'm going to go back to perspective view, and actually I'll just delete this main cam. That's fine. So I'm going to delete it. And now I'm going to make a new camera. So to make a camera, you want to go to your plus symbol above the window. And you actually, incidentally, you may not have two windows here like I have. So the way you get two windows here is if you have a single window, go to that single window and on the far right of it, click on the three dots and you can choose two panes. And it's going to create two windows when you do that. And those two windows, probably it's not going to be set to perspective on both of them. One of them might have perspective, probably the right one. And then the left one is probably going to be like in like a orthographic view. It'll look like that. All right. So just go to where it says whatever the view is up here. Could be top or left or right or something, and switch it to perspective so that you can move around in a perspective view. And then in your other window, you're going to probably have perspective there too. We're going to use that view for our camera, but we have to make a camera to put it in there. So to make a camera, go to your little plus symbol with the 3D cube and the drop down arrow right above your windows and go to cinematic and choose a cinecamera actor. Cinecamera actor is basically a camera. It's going to create it in your scene somewhere. You want to make sure it's selected and turn details on the right here underneath your outliner and reset its position to 0, 0, 0 in the world axis. So the location will have numbers in it. Go to the arrow to the right of that, click on it to reset that camera to be at the center of the world. And then you're going to want to rotate it however it needs to be to look at your MetaHuman. So I'm going to rotate a little bit manually this way. And then I'll look and see what the numbers are in my Z channel, which is blue. And I see it's -60. So I'm going to type in -90 because I want it to be exactly looking at my MetaHuman, which is in the center of the world. And it's going to be basically on the floor. So then I'm going to go back to the camera and click on it. And one thing that you might notice when you click on your camera, when you select your camera, if I, let's see. If I turn on preview selected cameras and I select the camera in that view, or if you'll see a camera view of a window pops up that the camera's seeing. That gets in my way. I don't like that to be on. So I have it turned off by default. The way you turn that off is you go into the name of the view and you turn off preview selected cameras towards the bottom. Just uncheck it. And you won't see the camera view because what I want to do is I want to see the camera view in this window over here. So I've got a cinecamera actor. I'm going to click on it a couple times in my outliner and I'm going to call it main cam. and hit enter. And then after I rename that camera, I'm going to go to where it says perspective in this view, in my right view, which is currently a perspective view. And I'm going to look and find main cam. So that's what I named my camera. And if I choose that, I'll be looking through that camera with that view. That's what I want. I want a camera view there. Now it looks weird because it's halfway in the floor. So in the other view, which is just a normal perspective view, I'm gonna make sure, hit the W key or make sure your move tool is on, and then just drag that camera up, grab the green one and drag it back. And I don't want to go very far back because I want to focus in on this figure's face. Like that. And you can orbit a little bit. You can use your Alt key to orbit and drag. And I'm going to pull that camera in a little bit closer, maybe. Now, if you have any snap on, you probably want to turn it off here because it's going to make it hard for you to move your camera if snap's turned on. And I'd like to be about right there. Maybe a little closer. I could get a little closer. Now you notice that I got a nice close-up view, but it's all blurry. So you're going to need to focus that. There's certain ways that you can focus the camera. So if you have your camera selected and you look in your details, there's a whole area down there called focus settings. It might be closed up, but below the transforms, below where it says like look at or film back, there's a focus settings. You need to open that up. Now I could switch it from manual to tracking under focus method, and it'll do a pretty good job. But I don't know if you can tell, but it's still kind of blurry. It doesn't look like a focus camera. Because I would really like it to be just focused right on his face, on his eyes. If you open up actor to track, you can actually even pick the actor, which is going to be, in my case, BP Topher. It's still not going to focus because what's happening is it's focusing on the middle of my character's head instead of on my character's face. And so that's not going to work at this distance. It'll work for far away. If you got like a medium shot or a far shot, it'll work fine. But if you're doing a close-up shot like this, then you're going to need a finer focus. And so you're going to have to switch back to manual under focus method. And you're going to have to set the distance there. It's set to like 100,000 right now. That's just like a default setting that really isn't going to be anything. So the way you do that is I would take your other view, your perspective, and switch to like a left view or front view, depending on which way your MetaHuman is oriented. So if I do like left view and I have my MetaHuman framed or selected and I hit F in the view, I can see that this is actually not the side view for me. The left view is actually the front view for my MetaHuman because of the way they're rotated. So I have to actually go to the front view to see a side view of my MetaHuman and to see the distance between the camera and the MetaHuman. So that orthographic side, in this case, front view is perfect for me to get a measurement of the distance my camera is from my MetaHuman's face. And you do that by, in that view, go to where the front of the camera is and hold the middle mouse button down and drag out until you get to the nose or a little bit beyond the nose of your MetaHuman. So this camera is about 77 units away from my character's face. So if I go back to my main cam and I type in 77, I get a focused camera on my face. And you might have to tweak it. It might actually be more like 76 or 75. What?
It's something right here.
Like a lower quality version?
Yeah.
So
You can listen like that. Yours looks.
I think it's fine. Probably the quality setting and like, oh, you know what? You know what I showed the other day, setting LOD 0?
It did that.
Okay. Did you change anything on that MetaHuman between now and then, or maybe using it?
Yeah, I changed
Because
it.
it's specific to the MetaHuman itself. So if you're getting something changing on your hair, it may be something else. It might be quality settings changing on your computer because it's slowing down or something like that. Or it could be something we actually have to go into the blueprint for the groom and try to do something with. But it should look pretty nice unless you're getting something weird. So I think, let me just save this. You might want to go back, depending on what MetaHuman you're using. In this case, I'm using, it's going to be under your MetaHumans folder. Actually, you know what? The best place to, rather than search for it, you can select your MetaHuman right here. Go to where it says root down here. It's right above the details. And there's a little link that says edit in blueprint. That will open the blueprint for the MetaHuman. And then you can go to the viewport again and you can check to see if your LOD sync is set to forced LOD 0 on the right. If it says -1, then you need to change it to 0. Okay, then it's something else.
Where is it?
So there's a LOD sync towards the bottom of the MetaHumans.
It should be forced 0.
Yeah,
Okay.
so you don't get any hair change based on the camera. So I don't need to do anything because mine's already there, so I'm going to close that. So the other thing that it might be is that particular hair that you chose has given us the worst problems in the last 2 years.
Oh, really?
Everyone who chooses that hair has some kind of issue where it flips out or does something crazy. So it's that hair. We'll look at it. If it keeps doing it, it might go away. It's a very touchy hair, very finicky hair. So I have a focused camera. I can go back and switch this back from front view to perspective view. And then I have my camera view here. And it's kind of perfect now for me to put my animation on it and see what it looks like on this character. So to put the animation on here, what we have to do is create a sequence. And a sequence is what you do animation on in inside of Unreal Engine, unless you're doing some kind of blueprint type of animation. It's going to be done in Sequencer. And so you want a folder for your sequences. I created a folder in my content browser under content that's my sequences. And I'm going to save a new one in here now for this new animation. And the way you create the sequence is at the top where there's a little clapboard symbol, the little old-timey action thing. Click on that with the drop down and add a level sequence. And you're going to want to double click into your sequences folder. So it's going to save it there so you can find your sequence later on. And then name it something with SEQ or something like that at the end. I'm going to call this one Topher Geek Test 2 SEQ. Yeah, that hair is like possessed. You know what sometimes fixes it? You just move your MetaHuman a little bit. And it forces it to update. Just select the MetaHuman and just drag it a little bit. Okay, so I have this new sequence. It opened right here. Yours might be a floating window. You remember when I docked that one earlier? Or it may be coming up already docked like mine is. But if it's floating, you can just grab the name and drag it right next to where it says content browser and it'll dock it. So the first thing that you want to do with this sequence is make it as long as you think your animation is going to be. And sometimes you don't know. If you're working with mocap, you don't always know how many frames it's going to be. So I would usually make it like 5,000 frames just to be safe. And then I'll cut it down later. And the way you make it a certain number of frames is down here on the right, where it says, in my case, 0165. I'm going to click on the first one of those and I'm going to put, I know mine's not 5,000. I'll put 3,000 frames in there and hit enter. And you'll see that it makes it so that it now covers 3,000 frames for this timeline. And I'm going to grab the red line with my cursor and left mouse button, grab that red line. I'm just going to drag it to the right side, somewhere close to where my 3,000 frames is. It doesn't have to be all the way out, 2,700 or somewhere close to that, just because that's the end of your sequence. And I don't know where the end of my sequence is going to be yet, but I don't want to cut off my sequence. That's going to be my active frames right there. And then I'm going to make sure that the cursor's on 0000, and I'm going to bring in my animation. Or actually, sorry, don't bring in your animation yet. You got to bring in your MetaHuman first. So you drag stuff from your scene into your sequencer to set keyframes on it. So I'm going to find my MetaHuman, which in this case is BP Topher, and I'm going to click it with the left mouse button till it highlights, drag it down and drop it into my sequencer. It opens up this animation layers. You might want that later on. I'm going to minimize it. And I've got now my MetaHuman in this sequencer. The thing is, you don't want the control rigs here when you bring in mocap for the first time, because they'll actually prevent the mocap from working. It'll lock everything down. So you want to click on where it says MetaHuman Control Rig. Just click on the name, highlight it, and hit delete and get rid of it. Same thing with the face control board. Hit delete and get rid of it. So now I have the MetaHuman and just body and face. That's it. And then the other thing that I want, I'm going to go back to my outliner. It switched to my Anim outliner. I'm going to switch back to the regular outliner. Up here, there's a couple tabs. I want to find main cam, my camera, whatever, it can be called Cinecamera Actor, it doesn't matter. But find your camera, do the same thing, click it with the left mouse button till it turns, highlights, and then drag it down and drop it into your sequencer. Because you need your camera and you need your MetaHuman in the sequencer. And you should see camera cuts across the top with pictures of your MetaHuman go all the way across to where your red end of your sequence is. So now I can bring in my animation to take a look at it. You might as well do a file save all too, since you've done a couple things. So to put the sequence on my character's face, you want to find the face track. And to the right of it, there's a plus symbol. You want to click on that, go to animation at the top, and find the sequence that you saved that, in my case, has Topher Geek 2 on it. And I'm going to use the edited one. And choose it. So I immediately see my MetaHuman change to a sad face. For some reason, there's some kind of difference between the MetaHuman that I put the animation on and this MetaHuman, because I'm noticing that this MetaHuman looks kind of sad or unhappy, and the other one looked neutral more at the beginning. So that's something that's happening between these. Now, when you move this around, if you scrub the timeline like I'm doing, scrubbing the timeline is when you grab it and you move it manually because you want to move it faster, just to see what's happening. You notice my body's coming out, my head's coming out of my body. It's working, but he does look angrier, even at the end, I think, when he's supposed to be smiling, not quite smiling. So there's something happening between those two MetaHumans. I'm not sure what it is, but it's unfortunate. I'm going to have to fix that. Now, if I put this back to the beginning, what I want to do is first fix that body thing. So where the head and body are separating. The reason they're separating is because the body has no animation on it. I only put it on the head track, on the face track. and not on the body. You need to put it on the body because we used head motion. And it's moving the head, but unfortunately on metahumans, the head is separate from the body. And if if the head motion is there, but there's no corresponding motion on the head bone of the body, they'll separate. So there's actually two head bones here. There's one in the head or in the face, and there's one in the body. And they both have to be moving with the same head, the same head motion. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go find the body track. I'm going to click the plus symbol next to it. I'm going to go up to animation again, and I'm going to put the same animation that I chose for the face, I'm going to put on the body. And it's the Topher Geek 2 edited. And soon, make sure that your cursor is at 0 when you do that, because you want these two tracks to match up. They and it will start the track wherever your cursor is at. So if your cursor, if you were scrubbing it or playing it and you chose that, it's going to start the animation way out here. Now you can drag the animations, but it's easier if you don't mess it up to begin with. And if I play this now, it should look much better. So now there's no separation happening. And maybe he doesn't look that angry. Maybe it's just, could be the lighting. Now you notice there's no audio here. So we need to put some audio in so we can make sure everything looks okay. So I'm gonna put it back to the beginning again, because the audio will come in from wherever you are on the track. And I'm gonna go to the little add button in the upper left of the sequencer. And I'm gonna choose, I wanna add an audio track. So if it doesn't, it should be right there actually, audio track. Choose it. It's going to ask you the usual thing about a clock. Go ahead and say yes. It doesn't bring in the audio. You have to add it to the track. So you just added an audio track. Now I want to click the plus symbol next to audio and choose the Face 2 audio track. Because I didn't change anything, as long as I start everything at 0, everything should match up and it should sync up. I'll go ahead and do a save all. And then I'm going to try playing it. Now, if you're finding that you're getting like lower frame rate or it looks weird, we can change the settings. The quality settings of this. But let's just try it first before I do that. And I'll just move it closer. There we go.
Get your geek on in Raleigh. Your geek on.
Okay, I still think I'm having some issues with, I'm gonna check the teeth pose again. Yeah. So I think that the edits that I did over when I was processing it didn't take, because it still looks to me like the teeth are too far apart right there. And I thought I fixed that. So I know that it'll take if I do it out here. And the way I'm gonna go ahead and do that here. So this is where we usually do it, is on the face track. And here's the face track. Here's the animation that is the mocap animation. If I open it up, it's not going to look like what we had before. You don't see any keyframes or anything. So what we need to do is, and we don't have any controls. There's no controls for me to actually set keys on. So you have to do what's called baking it to the control rig in order to set some additional keys. And that's going to basically take our animation that's here, and it's going to put it on the control rig the way it was when we were processing it previously and we saw the different controls moving around. So to do that, make sure you're on frame 0. Everything looks good. Otherwise, I'm gonna edit some of these face positions anyway. But we'll go to where it says face, and I want to right click it, and there is a bake to control rig. But what you're going to notice is all it says is FK control rig, if it's the same as mine. And that's a problem because we actually need the MetaHuman baseboard. And for some reason, this is always checked. It's filter asset by skeleton. And for some reason, it's not recognizing the correct skeleton because if you uncheck that and go back to it again, it will show you all the different ones that we actually want. And the one that we want is the face control board. So you're going to go find that. There's a couple different ones here. I don't think it matters. I would just choose whatever's the first one that has a little three-dimensional box in it, and then choose that. And in the dialog box that comes up, don't change anything. Just use the defaults. We don't need to change any of this. And just hit create. It's going to think about it, and then you'll see the face board come up. Okay, so the face board is there. I probably should have set my end frame back to where the end of these animations are, rather than have process all these empty frames out here. I'm going to go ahead and pull that back now. It should be just basically where the end of these animations and audio go to. And And these keys here, they're not gonna hurt anything. But I might want to get rid of them at some point. Like I could. Yeah, I'm just gonna leave them actually. And so these are my keys for the face board. If I scrub this, you'll see the different parts of the face board moving around like it was
Or
before.
get on.
And that face board is usable. Like I could zoom into it. Whoops. Let's put this back on perspective. So I could zoom into this in this other view over here and select, let's say, this one right here and move it up and down. And you can see it's going to move the character's mouth around. Same thing here. I could grab this one and move it, and it's going to move that character's brow. I don't really have to undo those. I can, but because there's keyframes, as long as I don't set a new key, they're just going to pop back to what the animation is anyway. But all the controls are here. But this is where it's sometimes hard to animate because you have to kind of create something behind it. And this is actually going to move with the character once the whole body's moving around too, which is hard to use. So there are some other ways of animating that might be better that I'd like to explore this semester. Some extra tools that we could like plugins that we could turn on. But let's go ahead and go back to the sequencer here. And let's take a look. Let's see, we don't need to see all this. And I'll just go back up to the top here. So at this top level, you can see when I started selecting parts of this control board, it went down into it and it has all the controls that we saw before. And they are all mocap. They have mocap keys on every single one of those things. We don't want to mess with that because of how complicated it is. What we want to do is add that additive layer on top of it. So I'm going to go ahead to the plus symbol here where these mocap keys are, and I'm going to hit that plus symbol, choose additive. It's going to make a new face channel, and I want to set keys on that face channel. Actually, I'm going to undo that a second. Just want to make sure I'm putting it on the right one. Yeah. So it has to be this channel. Or sorry, the control board channel. Not any of these other ones. We want an additive layer. That will give us something that will have the same name, but we want to click it and put add at the end of it so you know which one it is. Okay, I put that on the wrong one. It's confusing because it names everything the same, which you want to find the one that's empty, the one that says additive over here if you hover over it, and make sure you put the name on that one and not the other one, because you don't want to confuse those two channels. And now I'm going to go in and do the stuff that I did before. That didn't seem to exported it. So same process that I did before, only on this one, I would definitely go in and put some neutral keys, which I mentioned, by just going to the additive layer, the very top layer, and add one at the beginning, which will set keys on all of the layers. If you open them up, you should see all those keys. And then do one at the end. Maybe it is something to do with the eyes. I think I need to fix my eyes because they're looking down here. I don't think I was looking down there, or maybe I was. I'll have to check that. After you get a couple of additive layers set at the beginning and end, I'll do one here in the middle too. It doesn't matter if it's exactly in the middle. Any sort of pose that looks pretty good and you want to keep that one, go ahead and set an additive key on it. And then I'm going to just show you, like, I want to isolate that teeth pose. So here I've got a key. That teeth pose is, whatever I do on that teeth pose is not going to go beyond that key. And let's say right on the other side of that, I think it looks okay there too. Let's say I add another additive key there. Then whatever I do right here is going to be between those two keys. It might not be actually, maybe this one should be a little bit further down. Just because I don't want to see the teeth moving when the jaw's not moving. But say right there in between those, I'm gonna bring those teeth together. And so I'll do a search for teeth here. I could go find the teeth thing over here on the left. If I knew which one of these was the teeth, I could go find it. But honestly, I don't remember which one is the teeth. And they are labeled to some degree, but not great. So the thing about these controls is that once you start animating with them and you're doing it for hours, literally hours setting keys, you will get to know where all those controls are. But then if you don't do it for like a few months, you'll forget where they all are and you have to go back and familiarize yourself with it again. And that's fine. As I said, we're going to explore some other possible options, but for now, I find it easier just doing a search to find the jaw. So if I just type in jaw here, it's going to bring me up all the jaw things. And so I don't want these ones actually. Where is my? Hmm. Okay, let me try this another way. So what I'm looking for is there should be a bunch of controls that don't have single keyframes on them. Here's the jaw one I'm looking for. Let's just open that up. I want to look. Okay, it looks normal. I don't know why I was not seeing it there, but this is the one I want right here, jaw Y. And I'll just move that back and forth, and it's going to set a key on just that one thing. So if I'm doing an adjustment like this, I don't necessarily want to set keys on everything like I did for my neutral keys. I'm only adjusting that one thing. I don't need to do anything else. Now, there might be some other things that I want to do. Maybe I want to come up here and do something on the eyes. But since we're on the jaw and I have the jaw here, let's go find another place where I might, on this side of the neutral keys, might want to fix the
Get your
jaw,
key.
but maybe something else too.
Italy.
So for instance, like this smile right here, it actually doesn't look bad. I kind of do have some smiley eyes there. But let's say right here, maybe, I want to close the mouth a little bit because I think it looks weird for him to have his mouth open all the time. So I think it was fine, right? So the dialogue, if I don't have my reference up, I'm not going to mess with that dialogue. But here where it's just smiling, um, it's fine. I can do whatever I want with it. So let's say right here, I like this end. This is going to stay that way. So maybe I actually do want to set a neutral key here, right here. So I'm going to set that neutral key. Or actually, I could, if I'm going to focus on just this, I can set just a key on this. So I'll just hit the keyframe button for this. I'm not changing it yet. And then I'm going to go to the other side of it where, okay, he's starting to open his mouth again. So right there, I'm going to set another key. And then in between that, I want his teeth to close right there. So I'm going to actually move the jaw now. And set another key. It would automatically set. So now if I scrub that, I'll see that it goes from the more open to closed to open again. And I've edited that part. And then if I want to go to that exact key because I want to change it, I want to use these things down here on the bottom. My zoom is in my way right now. Let me move it up to the top. I want to move to the previous keyframe, which is this symbol. I don't want to try to eyeball it because I might mess up and create a glitch. So I want to click on that to go to the exact keyframe. And then I can either reset that key or maybe I want to set something on the eyes. So maybe I would like the eyes to be a little more smiley there. So we'll just go, I'm just going to go to the eye, some eye controls here, see if I can find some eye controls. Like right here, I I want to set a keyframe on the eyes, and I want to find the control. I don't know which one it is. So I think it might be one of these ones right here. We'll try it. Yeah, those ones. So I want to let me just see something. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, it took me off my key for some reason, or I don't know why. Or actually, no, it didn't. Oh, right, I'm on another control. So because it looked like it took me off my key, but actually there is no key there. That's the control that I want to set keys on, and I'm gonna just click that for a neutral key. And then I'm gonna just go somewhere around there, set another neutral key, and then I'm gonna go in the middle here and give it a little bit more smile line by moving it up. And set another key. So that's right eye squint inner, and there should be a left eye squint inner here, pretty close. It's right there. So I can pretty easily then set the same keys on the other one if I want to by clicking over here, click this key, click a couple times this way. Click another key up here for squint left eye, squint inner. And then I'm gonna go and do the same thing with the other eye on the same key. So the reason I'm doing it like this is because this can get very, very complicated very fast. Because there are so many controls for this space. And I could just start moving stuff around and clicking keyframes, but pretty soon it's going to become a mess. And you want to think of poses for the face and trying to set your keyframes at similar places, because if they're all on different places, it's going to be hard to find them if you want to change anything. Like if you want to change that facial pose, if they're not all lined up, then it's going to be hard to change. Now, one way that you could do that is to just set a top level key whenever you make a pose, and it will set it on all of them, whether you moved it or not. But I'm kind of choosing certain areas that I want to adjust. And in this case, the eyes are something I definitely wanted to do. So now I can go to this other squint inner, and I can, right in the middle here, make it a little bit more of a happy eyes. Try to pull it up a little bit more and hit that keyframe again. So now in that area where the
Raleigh.
mouth closes, the eyes also close a little bit too. Kind of looks kind of sinister, actually. I don't know if I'd actually want to do that to invite people to Raleigh. Okay, so there's a lot of other controls, like maybe opening the eyes a little bit more or squinting the eyes a little bit more. might make those eyes a little bit happier. I'm only moving one control. So I'm going to save all here. This is how you can animate on top of the motion capture to get it better, to make it more whatever you want, or closer to the original performance, or even make the original performance better if there was some kind of problem. On the video that I showed you, this one from Solomon, he has another way that he goes in and edits his keyframes, or he does it in a different, he does a different process, which I didn't really go over, but
Hey Rails developer, ever ask your AI agent to modify a user model and it has no idea about your
so he exports out, instead of exporting an animation, he exports a level sequence. And it basically creates a whole level for just that character. And it also exports out a plane with the video on it of the original performance. And that's what you're seeing right here.
Minimize this. And so this is the level sequence over here. Let's go to save all.
So you export it out as a level sequence.
Yeah, because it's important. I don't want to crash this. When you've worked so hard to get your data in here, you don't want to lose it. All right, so this is it. Body and face, is double click on it. And there is the character. So with the face, just click on the right there. And you can see the camera angle has already been matched. There's the pen right here. And actually you can move it to the side over here. And it's
He's also using a MetaHuman lighting plugin that we haven't really looked at yet. And it's just basically gives you sort of colored lights like you see there to make it easier to kind of look at the different parts of the MetaHuman. But the nice thing about exporting the sequence is the level sequence, it exported this plane that has the video on it.
move this up and then let's play back.
I got a life too. I get 18 years of my life to stand in the same spot as.
And so you have that there to look at, and it's going to make it easier to edit it. And so this is kind of, this is just like the level sequence that I just made, only it's made the sequence kind of for you, exporting it from the other one. That could be an option that you want to use. Because that could be useful for editing your
Epic.
character.
And just play.
Think I had dreams and hopes? What about my life? What about me? Don't you think ever crossed my mind to want to know other men that I got a life too? I get 18 years of my life to stand in the same spot as you. Don't you think I ever want another thing?
Okay, so that's all I'm going to do for today. I would like you to try to get your characters so that you have an animation test and also go find a shot of an actor performing a short piece that you could maybe use through this process to get an even better test for your MetaHuman. And we'll build out some scenes this coming week. But I'd like to have some animation to go with that scene so that we can put it in there on your MetaHuman. And I don't want a lot. We're not doing body animations, so I want you to just kind of frame your character with a close up, and we'll put something behind the character. We'll put a 360 background and stuff, but the focus is going to be on the face, and the background is going to be kind of blurry. So that's the kind of shot that I'd like to try to do this next week. If I did want to render this, there's a little clapboard symbol in here to just see a test. In the sequencer, there's a little clapboard symbol. That's for rendering. It's got 3 lines next to it, and actually we don't want to use that. Just hit the clapboard symbol and it'll bring up the render settings. And you can render to an AVI sequence. Sometimes I find that doesn't really work, and it's not what I would use for a final render. But if you want to try it just to see if you can see a test, your frames per second that you're using here by default is 30 frames per second. If you look at the top of your sequencer, it says 30 frames per second. Okay, that can be changed to different things, but I think we want to leave it 30 frames for now, because most of your videos are going to be shot in 30 frames per second. And then when you go to your render settings, you can do an AVI sequence. It's going to use the frame rate. It's the thing with an AVI sequence is, in my experience, the audio does not work. If you try to put audio there, it's just going to tell you it's experimental and it probably won't sync up. So probably you want to just do it without audio. And take your video, if you want to see the audio and the lip sync, take your video into Premiere and edit the audio onto it. We can talk about how to do that if you don't know Premiere, but most people know Premiere, so you could do that, or you could use another video editor. I don't care. I use Premiere. And for these, I would say that most of the time we would like to do 1920 by 1080. That is HD quality. If it crashes your machine because it's too big, then switch to a lower setting. But 1920 by 1080 is what I would normally use. And later on, when we get to final renders, I'll show you how to render to frames, because that's what we're going to want to use. You choose an output directory here, and file name format doesn't really matter for an AVI. It only matters if you're doing frames. You might want to open up advanced just to see what the settings are at for animation. If you don't want it to go through all your frames, you could set a custom start and end frame. Oftentimes I do that. Like for instance, if I didn't really want to see all of that stuff at the beginning, so maybe all this stuff is really not even important. It kind of starts at 9:07 and ends at right around there, 1672. I could put 9:07, 09:07, to 1672. And that way it's not, I'm going to get just that part that I want. And then you just hit capture movie and it should go ahead and do it. Let's see. It doesn't look right. Looks like maybe I don't have my camera chosen. So this is a real-time render, or it's a real-time render, which means that it doesn't take nearly as long as you might be used to with 3D renders. It happens in a matter of seconds or minutes, not hours. So, apparently, okay, I know what happened. I'm going to close that for a second. I think I didn't have my main camera active. So let me just make sure. Hmm. So I'm gonna stop this video here and then I'm restarting Unreal Engine just because I think it's doing something weird and I want to make sure it's not just being glitchy. But I'll stop this recording.